Ah,
20-year-old Primi Gravida with 8-month period of gestation, P. Rajeshwari,
ah,
resident
ah,
Sitamarara, Vice, is a housewife,
ah,
came for regular
ah,
antenatal checkups and is identified with
ah.
raised BP and is admitted for
Hmm.
further evaluation.
Okay.
My last menstrual period is on 15 January
Ah.
2019. Estimated date of
Hmm.
delivery is 22nd October 2019. Period of gestation
That is
is
not estimated date, Amma. It's an expected date of delivery.
expected date of delivery.
Expected date of delivery is not estimated. Okay. Expected date of delivery. Okay.
Their expected date of
So the
delivery
period of just
is
22/10.
22nd. Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Period of
So
gestation
the
is
period of gestation
34 weeks with regular cycles. Previous case.
it's it's not 34 weeks. As on today, it is almost 36 weeks. 4 weeks to
Okay,
go. That's all. What is the period of gestation? Total period of gestation? How many weeks?
40 weeks, ma'am.
40 weeks. So 4 weeks to go means it's almost 36 weeks. Okay.
Yes.
Next.
History of presentation is perceiving active fetal movements, ma'am. Swelling of the feet is present since 1 month and is relieved on rest. No blurring of no labor pains, ma'am. No history of in draining TV. No burning menstruation.
So the only positive finding here is
Swelling of
swelling of the lower limbs. What is that? It is
pedal edema.
pedal edema. Have you measured the pedal edema? Where will you see? What is the site to see the pedal edema?
Near medial malleolus milk. Against the bone
Where?
ligaments will place the finger above medial malleolus.
Medial malleolus. 1 centimeter below and above the medial malleolus. How many seconds? How many seconds you will see?
5. Don't know.
30 seconds. You give pressure over the bony prominence for 30 seconds. Then if there is a pitting, that is known as pitting edema. So what are the causes for pitting edema in pregnancy?
Physiological edema is also present, ma'am. Physiological and pathological. Physiological.
Have you differentiate between physiological and pathological?
Physiological, it reduces on rest. The edema disappears, ma'am. Whereas pathological edema do not disappear.
Okay. So what are the other causes?
Any cardiac problems or renal problems, edema will be present, ma'am. Pitting edema.
In our pregnancy, in the pregnancy, the most common cause for edema of feet?
Hypertension, ma'am.
So it is preeclampsia, hypertensive disorders of pregnancy. Inka? The common in India. Yes, anemia and hyperproteinemia. Anemia and hyperproteinemia, cardiac disease, nephrotic syndrome, and also our hypertensive disorders of pregnancy. Okay, then. So how you grade edema? Mild, moderate, severe, how you grade? Is there any grading for edema feet? So up to ankle it is grade 1, up to knee is grade 2, and above the knee and throughout the body, like puffiness of face and vulval edema, anterior abdominal wall edema. These are all indicates severe edema of pregnancy. Okay? What is the reason for edema in pregnancy?
Due to obstruction of the uterus, due to the uterus pressure on the inferior vena cava, venous return decreases, ma'am. So
that is physiological. That is physiological. So what is the main reason for pathological edema in pregnancy?
Capillary
because
leakage,
of yes, extravasation of the fluid. So there is extracellular compartment is increasing. There is a fluid load. That's why there is edema. Okay, very good. Come next. So here the
Option-
pregnancy is 36 weeks. So came with on examination with lower complaints. Her complaint is swelling of the lower limbs. Okay. She conceived
Option-
spontaneously.
Confirmed by
First
urine
trimester.
pregnancy.
Okay.
Follicle open since 3rd month, ma'am. Dating
Ah.
scan is done. No
Ah.
history of pelvic rash, no history of burning maturation, no hyperemesis, no vagina, no radiation history exposure.
Okay.
Second trimester, 2 doses of tetanus toxoid vaccine taken. Iron folic acid is taken since 4th month, ma'am. Scan is done and no anomaly is found, ma'am. Calcium intake is present since 4th month, ma'am.
Calcium supplementation taken. Next.
Quickening felt in 6 months, ma'am. No
Ah.
pedal edema, headache, blurring of vision, and epigastric pain. No bleeding and draining fluid. Third trimester is performing after fetal movement. Growth scan is done in 7 months. Pedal edema since 1 month. Released on rest. No bleeding and draining. The value system is age of menopause 12 years, marital life 1 year, and non-consensual has moderate flow, cycles are painless and short.
Okay. Menstrual history normal.
Past history, no history of hypertension, diabetes
So,
mellitus.
what is the importance of menstrual history?
If you have any gynecological problems like fibroids, to rule out.
More than that.
To
Regular cycles.
With the date of delivery.
So, for correct calculation of the expected date of delivery, regular menstrual cycles is important. Okay. Next.
The past history, no history of hypertension, diabetes mellitus, bronchial asthma, tuberculosis, epilepsy, thyroid and cardiac disease. No major surgeries done, no recent blood transfusions, and no drug allergies.
Okay.
Personal history, age time, sleep and appetite normal, bowel and bladder normal, non-smoker and non-alcoholic. Family history, no history of hypertension, diabetes, epilepsy. No history of twins, no history of breast and thyroid are normal, weight is normal. Vitals, temperature febrile, pulse rate 75 per minute with normal rhythm, volume and character, blood pressure 140 by 90 Hg, seen in patient sitting position right arm. Respiratory rate is 15 per minute. Obstetric examination, inspection, abdomen, distension, and umbilicus is midline and everted. Stria gravidarum and lesion nigra present, ma'am. No stars and sinus present. No engorgement present. On palpation, fundal height corresponds to 34 weeks of gestation. First fundal grip, broad, irregular, soft mass, probably breached, ma'am. Lateral grip on the right side, soft, irregular, multiple parts fell, probably limb.
So the fundal height is corresponds to 34 weeks. Okay.
Yes,
Here, what is the gestational age?
36 weeks, ma'am.
So it is less than period of gestation. How many weeks? 2 weeks less than period of gestation.
Yes,
so, is there any inference?
It can be either wrong dates, ma'am, or IUGR can occur, ma'am.
So dating scan is there.
Yes,
For this patient, dating scan is there. So there are no wrong dates. Here probably because of the hypertension, there may be some intrauterine growth restriction. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Lateral grip, left side, continuous hard resistance, probably spine. On first pelvic grip, palatable mass fell, probably head. Second pelvic grip, head not. Auscultation, fetal heart sounds heard at left mid spinal umbilical. Serious examination, no respiratory system, bilateral normal vesicular breath sounds are heard, ma'am, no added sounds. Examination, mental functions normal, ma'am.
Okay.
In summary, a 25-year-old primate with period of gestation 36 weeks, with pallor and pedal edema
Wrong.
present
It's 36 weeks. The period of gestation is 36. You must correct. Her expected date of delivery is 22/10. What is today date? Today is almost 25/9. So how many days to go? Almost 27 days. So 4
Yes.
weeks. So it's almost 36 weeks.
The 20-year-old primary period of gestation 36 weeks with pallor and pedal edema present since 1 month, came for regular antenatal checkup and was found with hypertension of 140/90 mmHg.
How many times you recorded BP in this patient?
2 times we should measure. She came for regular
So she came for regular anti checkup. You recorded the BP. It is found to be 140/90. So you concluded it's a case of hypertension.
2 times we should measure, ma'am.
With gap of
4 hours apart,
immediately after with a 4 hours apart, 4 to 6 hours apart. Again, if it is 140/90, then you take it granted as raised blood pressure. So, what are the common hypertensive disorders in pregnancy?
Preeclampsia. Preeclampsia and
There are a group of disorders. So, preeclampsia. Classify hypertensive disorders. Hypertension in pregnancy.
Gestational hypertension.
Very good. Gestational hypertension.
Preeclampsia, eclampsia, chronic hypertension. Chronic hypertension with superimposed preeclampsia and eclampsia.
Okay. So, what is meant by gestational hypertension?
Gestational hypertension is increased blood pressure more than or equals to 140/90 mmHg, measured with an interval of 4 hours apart, ma'am. After 20 weeks.
Very good. After 20 weeks of gestation.
If the blood pressure is raised above 140/90, then it is gestational hypertension.
Okay. What is meant by preeclampsia?
Increased blood pressure of 140 after 20 weeks and proteinuria if present is called preeclampsia.
Is it before 20 weeks, after 20 weeks?
After 20 weeks.
So the criteria, it is a first one is raised BP 140/90, more than 140/90, and it's included with proteinuria and also after 20 weeks of gestation. So proteinuria means how much?
In a 24-hour urine sample, if the protein value is greater than 0.3 grams, ma'am, then it is called proteinuria.
Very good, proteinuria. Next, the next one is eclampsia.
Eclampsia, along with raised BP and proteinuria, if cereals are present after 20 weeks, then it is known as eclampsia, ma'am. Along with raised BP and proteinuria, if cereals are present after 20 weeks, cereals with or without stoma after 20 weeks is known as eclampsia.
Tonic-clonic convulsions. Then it is called as eclampsia. Next, chronic hypertension.
Chronic hypertension is hypertension is present even before the pregnancy or less than 20 weeks, then it is known as
before 20 weeks of pregnancy.
Then it is known as chronic hypertension.
One more criteria is there. How long it's present after delivery?
After 12 weeks after delivery also, even if it is
so you must include that adjective also. That adjective also. 12 weeks after delivery. Next, chronic hypertension superadded with superimposed with preeclampsia.
Means there will be aggravation of the BP or proteinuria is present, ma'am, before the 20 weeks. And it is known as chronic hypertension.
So hypertension present before 20 weeks gestation, and it may be at any period of gestation. Need not be after 20 weeks or before 20 weeks. It may be after 20 weeks. At any time of period of gestation, there is an increased proteinuria and increased BP levels. Then it is superimposed preeclampsia. So, what are the predisposing factors for preeclampsia? So, our main problem is preeclampsia. So, why? So,
If it
why?
is
What is the importance of early diagnosis of preeclampsia?
if not
Is it
diagnosed, then
preeclampsia is a preventable disorder?
yes, ma'am. If proper medications are, if we give proper
It's not a.
medications,
How can you give medication without diagnosis of preeclampsia? Preeclampsia is not a preventable disorder, but its complications like eclampsia can be preventable. So early diagnosis is important for better outcome of maternal and fetal outcomes. So how you diagnose preeclampsia in your routine antenatal checkups? How you suspect? So what are the predisposing factors? In which people it is more common?
in primary gravida, obesity,
As in elderly primary gravida and very young primary gravidas, it is more common. So whenever those type of patients come to your clinic, you suspect. Next.
if family history of hypertension is present, then
So family history of hypertension or previous pregnancy, there may be preeclampsia. Or in the family, if any sibling is having a preeclampsia history, then you suspect. Inka?
obesity, and
Yes, obesity.
pregnancy,
Amma?
in pregnancy, ma'am.
Multifetal pregnancy. So wherever there is an over distended uterus, like polyhydramnias. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Inka? Any medical disorders like
Any endocrine disorders like pheochromocytoma or any renal disorders.
no, pheochromocytoma is very, 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 very rare. The first one is endocrine disorders like diabetes mellitus, hypothyroidism. Those are associated with preeclampsia. Okay. Inka? If the patient is having a history of PCOD, polycystic ovarian disease, previous history of polycystic ovarian disorder, and she conceived with the treatment, infertility treatment, then the chances of preeclampsia are more. What more?
Thrombophilias, if any present.
Thrombophilia is very good. Inka? Any connective tissue disorders, like SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, connective tissue disorders. In those cases also, preeclampsia is more common. And frequent changing of partners. And also conceived with artificial. Assisted reproductive technologies. In those patients, preeclampsias are more common. So, in those patients, you are more cautious. So, what precautions you take while doing antenatal checkups? In the first antenatal checkup, in the first 3 months, what precautions you will take? So, good folic. First month, first 3 months, you diagnose the pregnancy and give proper folic acid medication. So, what parameters you take? You check. So, initial weight of the patient is important. Okay. Why initial weight of the patient is important?
If later in the last trimester, if more weight gain is present, then it is one of indication of.
So there is no need of last trimester, but in every trimester also we will take weight of the patient. What is a normal weight gain in pregnancy?
10 to 12 kgs.
10 to 11 kgs. 1 kg in the first trimester, 5 kgs in the second and third each trimesters. What is the normal weight gain in per week, or in 15 days? The weight gain is usually 1 kg.
Okay.
If it is more than 2 kgs and 3 kgs like that, in a month 3 kgs like that, then it give an indication. So this patient may go into preeclampsia. So that's why every antenatal checkup, you take a weight of the patient and you compare this weight with the previous weight. Okay. Next, what are the other parameters you check?
Urine protein concentration, urine protein values, ma'am.
More than that, BP recordings.
BP.
Every time you take the BP, both systolic and diastolic. Usually, what will happen to the BP recordings in pregnancy, especially in the second trimester? What will happen? Because of the pregnancy-induced vasodilatation, there is a decrease in blood pressure. Usually, it may be 100 by 60, 90 by 60, 110 by 7, like that. If there is any increase in blood pressure, there is no need of 140 by 90 criteria. Sometimes there may be sudden increase of, what are the other criteria to take the BP? 140 by 90 is one entity. The other entities are rise in BP by diastolic or systolic. Very good. 30 millimeters is systolic and 15 millimeters of mercury of diastolic from the previous pregnancy, previous BP recordings. Then also you suspect hypertension in this pregnancy. Next, what is meant by mean arterial blood pressure, MAP?
That is systolic BP plus 2 into diastolic BP by 3, ma'am. If that is above 105 millimeter mmHg, then it is also considered as hypertension in pregnancy.
So it is also taken into consideration as hypertension. So in every checkup, you take the blood pressure recording and also weight gain of the patient. That is more important. Next. Next, in the second trimester. So in the first trimester, folic acid supplementation. If there is any history of previous history of, if it is, she is a second gravida, suppose a previous history of preeclampsia is there. So to prevent preeclampsia in this pregnancy, what drugs you prescribe? Is there any drugs?
Aspirin.
You heard about low dose aspirin?
Yes, ma'am.
You can give low dose aspirin from 12th week onwards. That is 75 milligrams of ikaspirin, aspirin supplementation to prevent preeclampsia in this pregnancy, or previous history of any missed abortions, or previous history of IUDs due to preeclampsia. Then to give ikaspirin, low dose aspirin to prevent, and in some of cases also add heparin also. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, in the second trimester. So how will you examine the patient? So you are suspecting this patient, there is a excessive weight gain is there. Sometimes our BP recordings are more. So what precautions you take while doing antenatal checkups in the second and third trimesters? So you see the growth of the baby, whether the baby is corresponding to the growth is corresponding to the gestational age or not. Here it is already 36 weeks, but the height of the uterus is only 34 weeks. It indicates some disparity of the growth. So you can suspect intrauterine growth restriction. So with this, have you managed this patient?
till 37 weeks, since she is 36 weeks pregnant, we'll ask her to come regularly, ma'am, till 37th week, every week. And in 37th week, then
You
we'll
want to
decide
ask her to go home and home management?
No, ma'am.
No, there is no role for domiciliary treatment for hypertensive patients because it has so many complications. So whenever you suspect it's a case of preeclampsia, you immediately admit the patient and do the evaluation. Okay? What are the tests you want to do in this? So you admitted the patient. So what tests you want to do in this patient?
In 24-hour urine protein values we'll see, ma'am. And we'll do liver 24-hour urine protein values we'll see, ma'am.
So it's a long procedure. It's a long. So you must wait 24 hours to diagnose preeclampsia. Sometimes her BP is 160 by 110. What will you do? With dipstick. Urine dipstick tests are there. With that you diagnose how much proteinuria is there. It may be traces 1 plus, 2 plus, 3 plus and 4 plus. Depending upon the proteinuria, severity also increases. So if it is traces, how much is protein?
0.1 gram per liter, ma'am.
If it is 1 plus?
0.3 gram per liter, ma'am.
If it is 2 plus?
1 gram per dl, ma'am. 1 gram per dl.
If it is 3 plus?
3 gram per dl, ma'am.
3 grams.
4 plus
if it is 4 plus?
10 grams
5
per
grams.
dl.
5 grams. So like that you classify. So you can do the immediately you can do the dipstick. That is more important. To why it is urine protein is important? To differentiate between whether it is a gestational hypertension or it is a preeclampsia, because complications with preeclampsia is more than simple gestational hypertension. Okay, that's why you must differentiate whether it is a. So immediately do the test. What are the other tests? Blood investigations, like so routine investigations, so like HB blood grouping, RH typing, already over all these. What are the special investigations regarding the preeclampsia?
Liver function tests, liver function tests.
What are the liver functional tests?
SGOT and SGPT levels we'll see, ma'am. And serum uric acid level, serum creatinine we'll see, ma'am.
Liver functional tests. Liver functional tests.
If SGOT and SGPT are greater than
okay, one is SGPT and SGOT. What is the more important test? Lactic dehydrogenase, LDH. Next, serum bilirubin. Both direct and indirect. Okay? So this is LFT, liver functional test. What is the renal functional test?
serum uric acid, serum creatinine levels.
So main is serum creatinine. What is the normal serum creatinine in pregnancy?
Less than 1.1 gram.
In pregnancy it is only 0.9. In the normal individuals it may be 1 to 1.2, but in pregnancy it must be less than 0.9. If it is more than 1 point, the severity of preeclampsia is very more. Next, serum creatinine. Uric acid. Uric acid.
Uric acid.
What is the normal uric acid? It is less than 4 milligrams. If it is more than 4.5 milligrams, then it's one criteria. Okay?
Ophthalmoscopic examination will be.
Ophthalmoscopic examination. What are the changes in the ophthalmoscopic examination?
Retinal edema will be present.
Only edema, something abnormal in the arterioles and veins.
Constriction of the arterioles will see.
Nicking is there. Because of the very much narrowing and weight of the arterioles are more, there may be kinking of the veins, because veins are dilated. Because of the pressure, they kink. So that is one side of ophthalmic examination. Sometimes small hemorrhages may be there, edema there, or retinal attachment. These are all reversible changes. Okay. The ophthalmic changes are reversible once you deliver the baby, once the BP control. Okay, next. What more investigations you will do? So these are all for maternal well-being.
Yes,
LFT, RFT, uric acid, LDH, ophthalmoscopic examination. These are all for maternal well-being. So what is remaining there? The baby. So
Yes,
what are the tests you will do for fetal well-being?
ultrasound will do, ma'am. To know the fetal growth.
So here almost 36 weeks of gestation. So what are the different parameters in the scan you advise for the patient, for the baby? What type of scan is important in this patient? So no, it's not a normal obstetric scan. Something you need more. Because there is some IUCR is there. You are suspecting some growth factor is there. So here it is a growth scan. What will you see in the obstetric scan here? Normal scan and special scan.
Hydrox, we'll see amount of amniotic fluid.
Okay. Amniotic fluid index. What is normal amniotic fluid? When will you say it is abnormal?
Less than 5 or greater than 25.
5 to 25 is the normal range. Less than 5 or more than 25. Less than 5 is oligamious, more than 25 is polyhydramnios. Or single vertical pocket is more than 2 centimeters. So amniotic fluid index, one parameter. Others? You take the head circumference, BPD, and abdominal circumference to calculate the estimated weight of the baby and to exclude any asymmetrical or symmetrical IUCR. Okay? Next. What is biophysical profile? Is it important? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Biophysical profile. What are the points in biophysical profile? What is the modified biophysical profile? So next time you read, what is biophysical profile? What is modified biophysical profile? They are short notes during your examination. 2 marks questions. Okay? Hello? Are you able to hear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Okay. Okay. So what are the scan findings that are important? One is biophysical profile and non-stress test and amniotic fluid index. Next, growth of the baby and placental aging. So the main pathology is placental insufficiency. So there may be a premature aging of the placenta. There may be placental infarcts or necrosis of the placenta, or placenta may become very, very small. So these are all present in the scan. So if they are all normal, okay, the scan is normal. Next we will do Doppler studies. Uterine artery Doppler,
Yes, ma'am.
umbilical artery Doppler, and middle cerebral artery Doppler. If the Doppler is normal, then you can say the baby is all right. So you did all these investigations, you admitted the patient. So how will you manage this patient?
We'll regularly check her blood pressure, ma'am. If it is
So how frequently you check the BP? You admitted the patient, how frequently you want to check the BP? Once in a day, twice in a day?
twice day.
No, 6 hourly. Minimum of 4 times in a day. No need to check after 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. Midnight is we don't want to disturb the sleep of the patient. So at least till 10 p.m. you take the frequent at least 4 to 6 hours apart BP recordings. It's almost 36 weeks of gestation, and it is a mild preeclampsia. Urine albumin is present, and it is minimal. It is only 2 plus, and her BP is only 140/90. And you daily ask her to take rest in the left lateral position. And you ask her to check her fetal movements, fetal kick counts. So you ask her to check her fetal movements, at least 10 movements in 12 hours, or at least 4 to 5 movements in 4 hours. Then the baby is in a well-being is good. Next. How long you wait?
Till 37 weeks we'll see, ma'am.
So if her BP is 160/110 millimeters of mercury, and there is a proteinuria of 3 plus, some mild intrauterine growth restriction is there. So how will you manage this patient? So the management constitutes general management, antihypertensive management, and obstetric management. Okay. So here general management is ask her to lie down in take rest and left lateral position, high protein diet, and daily fetal movement count, and daily frequent BP recordings at least 4 to 6 hours per day, and daily examination of the patient, and to take the weight of the patient once in 2 days. Any excessive weight gain or any extra edema is there, and your routine investigations. So you admitted the patient. So what are the drugs available to control the hypertension?
The drug of choice is labetalol, ma'am. Other drugs
What are the
like
different? So group classify the drugs used in pregnancy.
we can get beta blockers, ma'am. Calcium channel blockers. Relaxation, like
So only beta blockers are advisable in pregnancy?
beta blocker.
Huh?
Both alpha and beta blockers.
So both alpha and beta adrenergic blockers are useful. So what are the drugs for alpha beta blockers?
Labetalol.
Labetalol. What is the dose?
100 mg twice a day.
You can give 100 milligrams 8 hourly. How much you can go?
30,
what is the upper limit? Upper limit of the drug?
300 milligrams.
You can give up to 2400 milligrams. You can give up to 2.4 grams. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You are telling that the 300 milligrams is IV preparation. That is upper limit. That's also in certain books is 300, but it is 220 milligrams. The upper limit is 220. in IV preparation. But in the oral preparation, you can give up to 2400 milligrams. 800 8 hourly also you can give because it is very safe drug. Okay. What are the other drugs?
Calcium channel blocker like nifedipine is given, ma'am.
Nifedipine. What is the dose?
10 to 20 mg twice a day.
8 hourly you can give up to 120 milligrams you can give. What are the other drugs? So calcium channel blockers, alpha beta blockers. Any centrally and peripherally acting drugs?
Methyl dopa.
Methyl alpha methyl dopa. What is the dose?
200 to 500 mg, ma'am.
Huh?
Twice a day. 200 to 500 mg, ma'am.
200, not 200, 250 to 500. 200 is not available. 250 to 500 milligrams. What is the disadvantage of this drug? Why we are not using nowadays? We are more using labetalol and nifedipine. It takes longer time to act. At least it will take 3 to 5 days for its action to come. And also side effects are more common, like most common side effect. So when you prescribe methyl dopa, you give caution to the patient. Which caution you give? So sudden postural hypotension. You ask her to sit and then stand. Otherwise, there may be sudden hypotension. She may fall. And also, it may give indirect home stress positive. And hemolytic anemia like syndrome can see when the patients are using methyl dopa. That's why nowadays you are not using methyl dopa. So for with labetalol, it is both safe for the mother and also baby. Fetus also it is very safe. What are the side effects with nifedipine? It is a vasodilator. So there may be some throbbing, headache, and edema. Prolonged use may cause lower limbs edema. It may aggravate the edema also. Those are the disadvantages of nifedipine. So what are the other drugs? ఏంటమ్మా?
Hydralazine can be given, ma'am.
Yes, hydralazine. What is the dose?
10 to 25 mg twice a day, ma'am.
So what is the mode of action?
Vascular smooth muscle relaxant.
Vascular smooth muscle relaxant. Very good. So the commonly used drugs are labetalol and nifedipine. So you start her on nifedipine or labetalol. Her BP is under control and the fetus is in a good condition. Now it is 36 weeks. So how long you wait?
37
It's
weeks.
Why 37 weeks?
As she attains term, then we'll see whether we can deliver her or not, ma'am.
Why? Why up to 37 weeks? What is the limit? Why there is a limit for 37 weeks? So complete fetal lung maturity occurs by 37 weeks. So to avoid respiratory distress syndrome in the baby, you wait up to 37 weeks. So what are the criteria for waiting up to 37 weeks? All investigations are normal. So not so much raised. So there is moderately raise of LFT and RFT. And BP is under control. Fetus is in a good condition. Then you wait up to 37 weeks. Then you plan for delivery. So what is the mode of delivery?
Normally vaginal delivery is preferred than
if there are no indications per se for cesarean section, you can go for vaginal delivery. You can induce the labor and deliver vaginally. If it is 34 weeks, her BP is 160 by 110. And so what are the complications with preeclampsia? with this BP 160 by 110, more than 160 by 110, and it's only 34 weeks. And she came with complaints of severe headache, blurring of vision, sometimes vomiting and nausea. So, what will you suspect in this patient? Oh,
Asphyxia or intra death can occur in the fetus. Or 3 weeks.
so what is your diagnosis? What will you suspect in the mother? Is it a severe preeclampsia or simple preeclampsia? What are the criteria for severe preeclampsia or imminent eclampsia?
Blood pressure greater than 160 by 110. Na?
Yes, BP is more than 160 by 110.
Proteinuria is present. No?
Uh,
Proteinuria is present. Oliguria. Oliguria.
How much oliguria?
Less than 400 ml per 24
Very
hours.
good. Less than 400 ml in 24 hours. What are the other criteria? How much elevation is there? Liver enzymes? Doubling. Usually it is 40 international units. It may be more than 80. LFT and RFT rises. And serum bilirubin rises. Inka. What about the platelet count?
Low platelet count, ma'am, less than 1 lakh per cubic mm.
So less than 1 lakh. Inka.
Cerebral or visual disturbances can occur, ma'am.
Already visual disturbances there, then only you suspect severe preeclampsia. So visual disturbances are there.
Intelligent growth restriction of fetus, ma'am.
That is fetus, maternal. Inka, what is that? Another investigations. What about the LDH?
LDH increases, ma'am.
It is more than
600 international units.
600 international units. 600 greater than 600. Uric acid?
Greater than 4.5 milligram per deciliter.
Milligrams. Inka? What are the other criteria?
Pulmonary edema will be present.
దానికంటే ముందు ఇంకా severe complications are pulmonary edema,
epigastric pain occurs, ma'am.
Severe epigastric pain, severe vomiting, severe gastritis, and abnormal eye signs, ophthalmoscopic findings. So what about the fetus?
Growth restriction can occur.
So that criteria you can take into the severity of the disease. If all these are absent, even single intrauterine growth restrictions also, it will indicate it's a case of severe preeclampsia. 160 by 110 millimeters of mercury and severe proteinuria and intrauterine growth itself indicates it's a case of severe preeclampsia. So it is 34 weeks, severe preeclampsia. Then how will you manage this patient? How long you wait?
36 weeks. No, we'll terminate the weight. We'll give steroids.
So what complications will occur if you continue the pregnancy? So what is the main treatment in preeclampsia? The main treatment is removal of the baby and placenta. Once you deliver, all these reversible.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So
termination. Delivery of the
termination of the pregnancy. How will you terminate at 34 weeks? What precautions you will take before terminating the pregnancy? What are the drugs you want to give? It is more than 160 by 110, almost 170 and 120 millimeters of mercury. She is complaining of headache, vomiting. So before delivery, what will you do?
We give MGSO4, ma'am. prophylactic MGSO4 we will give, ma'am. And since increased BP, we'll give antihypertensive drugs, ma'am. And steroids.
So how will you give magnesium sulfate?
Two regimens are present, ma'am. Liquid regimen and Decibel regimen. In Liquid regimen, the loading doses we give 4 grams IV, ma'am, and 20 grams as intramuscular injection, ma'am. In maintenance, 4 grams loading dose 4 IV and 10 grams in IM.
4 grams. How much? What is the percentage?
20% solution.
20%. So how it is available? The drug is available in 50%. So you dilute it to 20% and give. So in pressure revisions, 4 grams 20% IV. Then
10 grams 50% IM. 5 grams in each buttock will give, ma'am.
So loading dose is 14 grams. 4 grams IV, 10 grams IM. Later
maintenance dose is 5 grams, ma'am. It is given as IM 50% solution.
4th hourly on alternate buttons. So this is for anticonvulsive management to prevent convulsions, to prevent further complications. What is the mode of action of magnesium sulfate?
It causes vasodilation, ma'am. Acts on NMDA receptors and causes vasodilation. It reduces cerebral hypoxia, ma'am. As a result, convulsions. It reduces.
So it prevent excessive response to the acetylcholine end plate, neuronal end plate, excessive response to the acetylcholine, and it causes vasodilatation of the cerebral blood vessels. So it improves the perfusion and prevents the further convulsions. Prevent the convulsions, or already eclampsia is there, it control the convulsions. Okay.
Yes.
Next.
Cibai regimen is there, ma'am. That is only IV route. Cibai regimen loading dose is 6 grams, ma'am, given IV, and the maintenance dose is 2 grams, ma'am.
2 grams per?
So
2 grams per hour.
2 grams
Every
per
hour you can give 2 grams. So what are the dangers of magnesium sulfate?
If patient has renal insufficiency, then it will be stored in the body, ma'am. Then magnesium toxicity can occur. Magnesium toxicity,
so when you give magnesium sulfate, what are the parameters you want to monitor to know the toxicity of the drug?
We see deep tendon reflexes, ma'am. Knee-jerk we will see, and urine output. Knee-jerk.
So it is a central nervous depressant. So you monitor the knee jerks, patellar jerk and knee jerk. Inka?
Urine output we will see, ma'am.
Urine output. How much? At least 30 ml per. How you measure? At least 30 ml per hour. Okay? Inka? Knee jerks. What about the respiratory rate? It is a respiratory depressant. So you must measure the count the respiratory rate. It must be greater than 14 per minute. If it is less than 12, it is dangerous.
Oxygen saturation we will see, no?
It is more than 95%. More than 95. So why it is so toxic?
It has narrow therapeutic index, ma'am.
What is that narrow therapeutic index? What is the normal therapeutic index?
4 to 7 milliequivalents per liter.
4 to 7 milliequivalents is normal range of action. It is a patient is comfortable with this range, and also it is a therapeutic level. If it is more than 7, what will happen?
If more than 7, deep tendon reflexes will be delayed, ma'am. If
Disappear. More than 10, depression. More than 25, it will cause cardiac arrest. That's why, because of the narrow therapeutic index, you must carefully monitor while patient is on magnesium sulfate. So here it is more hypertension. It is 170 by 120. So how will you manage the hypertensive crisis in this patient?
Intravenous intravenous labetalol we will give, ma'am.
How will you give? What is the dose? First you give 10 milligrams IV, and you see for 10 minutes. If there is any decrease in BP, it's okay. Otherwise, you can escalate the dose, doubling the dose. Next dose, you give 20 milligrams. Next dose, you give 40, 80, 160, like that, up to 220 milligrams you can give. So, what are the other drugs available for control of the hypertension? Nifedipine also every half an hour or every 10 to 30 minutes you give 10 milligrams to decrease the blood pressure, not more than 60 milligrams. And you can give IV hydralazine and also nitroprusside. But you are commonly using drug is labetalol for hypertensive crisis in preeclampsia in our hospital at least. So hypertension is under control, and magnesium sulfate already given. So then what will you do? It is 34 weeks.
We give steroids, ma'am, for the baby.
For the fetal lung maturity. So what are the drugs available for steroids? What are the how will you give?
We give dexamethasone, ma'am.
You can give 6 milligrams in a 12 hours gap period. Total 4 doses you can give.
Okay.
Or you can give betamethasone 12 milligrams in 24 hours apart. So fetal lung maturity. So it is only 34 weeks, less than 34 weeks. So then how will you deliver the baby? Some mild intrauterine growth restriction is there, and all these complications are there. Then how will you deliver the baby? So with good, so it is a patient in tertiary care hospital. So what will you do? So better with good neonatal care, you can go for better go for cesarean section because it is 34 less than 34 weeks. It may take prolonged period of induction, and the baby is very small. The baby may not tolerate the stress of the delivery because sometimes intraventricular hemorrhages may occur due to hypertension. So, and it is already intrauterine growth restricted baby, and it's a premature baby. So that's why better go for cesarean section. So what are the complications of preeclampsia? So that's why you must manage the patient properly, preeclampsia, to avoid the complications. Like what are the complications with preeclampsia?
Maternal complications during the pregnancy, eclampsia can occur, ma'am.
Eclampsia. Eclampsia.
And cerebral hemorrhage can occur, ma'am.
HELLP syndrome. So one of the dangerous complications of the preeclampsia is eclampsia and then HELLP syndrome. Why HELLP syndrome is dangerous? It may lead to disseminated intravascular coagulation. She may land in thick. So maternal mortality is very high. And the fetal mortality is also high once he landed in HELLP syndrome. So whenever there is HELLP syndrome, immediate delivery is important. So That is one complication. Next, what are the other complications?
Cerebral hemorrhage can occur, ma'am.
Cerebral hemorrhage or cerebral hematoma or cerebral necrosis. Cerebral infarction. There may be cerebral excessive infusion may be there, or sometimes there may be decreased blood supply to the brain and infarction is also there. So both ways it is dangerous. Okay?
Abruptio placenta can occur, ma'am.
So one of the most important obstetric complication is abruption. Okay? Okay.
Oliguria and anuria can occur, ma'am.
Oliguria and anuria.
Respiratory distress can occur, ma'am.
Adult respiratory distress syndrome can occur.
If during the labor, eclampsia and hemorrhage.
During the labor, eclampsia may occur. So it may be antepartum eclampsia, intrapartum eclampsia, or postpartum eclampsia may occur. So during labor, there may be, after delivery of the baby, there may be PPH. Atonic PPH is made there. But if there is any HELP syndrome, there may be severe postpartum hemorrhage and also vaginal and cervical hematomas.
Yes, ma'am.
And also postpartum, there may be some sepsis may also be present. Or postpartum, there may be postpartum eclampsia. So you must watch the patient up to 48 hours after delivery. How long you continue magnesium sulfate? So you started magnesium sulfate. How long you want to continue?
At least 24 hours will do, ma'am.
24 hours after
Delivery of the fetus.
or after last conversion. If you are giving prophylactically, it is okay. 24 hours after delivery, you can continue. Otherwise, if the patient is eclamptic and you are started pressure regimes, how long you continue? 24 hours after delivery or 24 hours after last conversion, whichever is late. Up to that period, you must continue magnesium sulfate therapy. Next. So, what are the fetal complications?
Intrauterine growth restriction, intrauterine
So, intrauterine death of the baby, preterm labor, prematurity. So, what are the complications in the baby after delivery? The most common complication is prematurity, because sometimes you may deliver the baby at 32 weeks or 34 weeks before fetal lung maturity. So, prematurity is the commonest complication. And also, next one is respiratory distress syndrome in the baby. And also, intraventricular hemorrhages. So, these are all the complications in the baby. So, that's why in preeclampsia, if you are not properly treated, it may lead to maternal and fetal mortality. That's why proper management is important. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So, how will you manage the gestational hypertension? Simple gestational hypertension.
Just unless BP is raised to 160 by 110, we won't advise hypertensive drugs, no. We'll advise the patient to take rest and be in less safer position.
So you can monitor both mother and baby till 37 to 38 weeks. Then you can induce. If it is only 140 by 90, then there is no proteinuria, simple hypertension. So you can continue pregnancy up to 38 weeks also, because there are no complications. If chronic hypertension, so what are the reasons for chronic hypertension? How will you differentiate between preeclampsia and chronic hypertension?
chronic hypertension, it is present even before the 20 weeks or even before the pregnancy, and it subsides and it do not subside after 12 weeks of delivery, ma'am. Preeclampsia, it subsides after 12 weeks of delivery.
So, what are the drugs you use in chronic hypertension? So, what are the predisposing factors for chronic hypertension? In which patients you suspect it may be chronic hypertension?
Elderly gravida, ma'am.
Yes, elderly gravida. Obesity.
Diabetes is present.
Diabetes, chronic renal disease, connective tissue disorders.
Yes,
ఇంకా antiphospholipid antibody syndrome. So all these cases chronic hypertension is common. So whenever all these factors are present, you suspect chronic hypertension and you treat accordingly. So there also the main drugs are labetalol, nifedipine. So other drugs are contraindicated.
Yes, ma'am.
So how will you manage postpartum period in these patients? So how frequently you will do the blood tests in the patient? You admitted the patient. How frequently you do the fetal monitoring? How frequently you will do the blood tests? You repeat all these tests weekly once. If it is very severe, 170 by 120 like that, you can repeat after 48 hours. Otherwise, you can repeat every weekly once. And you can do the fetal monitoring, fetal well-being by NST and biophysical profile bi-weekly. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You can read how you monitor the labor when you are inducing the labor. Sometimes you want to do the vaginal delivery by induction after 37 weeks or after 34 weeks after dexamethasone. You want to deliver by vaginally. If it is a second gravida, third gravida, you can deliver vaginally. So you induce the labor. So how will you monitor during labor? That is important. Monitoring the labor important. Cut short of the second stage of labor important. What are the drugs you avoid after delivery? You should avoid Vitagil. You can give Syntocinon for third stage management. Okay? So these are all things you read. Okay? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So we can conclude.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts? Any doubts? Hello?
No, ma'am.
Okay?
No doubt. Yes, ma'am.
No doubts. Okay.
Thank you.
So main pathophysiology and etiology you read in the textbook.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What are the markers to detect preeclampsia? Those are all you read in the book. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what are the important questions? So you can get a case of preeclampsia or you can get a case of gestational hypertension in your clinics. In your theory, management of preeclampsia or management of eclampsia, management of HELP syndrome.
Yes, ma'am.
So they can give different case scenarios and they will ask how will you manage. So you prepare. Short questions, magnesium sulfate. What is the role of magnesium sulfate? Short question, what are the criteria for HELP syndrome?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, sometimes they may ask definition of preeclampsia and criteria for preeclampsia. sometimes what are the imminent symptoms of eclampsia? So these are all questions you may get in your examination. Okay, prepare.
Yes,
Ma'am?
Okay. Okay.
Ma'am,
Hello.
ma'am,
Ah.
please check the chat box, ma'am. Somebody asked a question.
Okay.
Ma'am, shall I read for you, ma'am?
Okay, read.
Yes, ma'am. As MGSO4 is contraindicated in myasthenia gravis, then what will be the drug of choice in this condition?
So you can give labetalol. Labetalol also anticonvulsive drug. You can try with labetalol. Both antihypertensive and it's also anticonvulsive also. That's say some studies are there, comparison between the labetalol and magnesium sulfate. So magnesium sulfate is more useful, but labetalol also it is very useful to control the convulsions. There is a trial with labetalol also, because it is very easy to maintain labetalol. In the periphery also they can give, even a sister can manage with labetalol. But with magnesium sulfate, you must admit the patient and monitor the toxicity. So labetalol is very less toxic. Okay. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I close?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
It's all right.